Okay, today I'm going to show you how to use the filters in Photoshop. Okay, so that's what we can use to enhance a picture and sometimes make it look completely different. And with this assignment for the abstracts, that's what I'm looking for you to create something very unusual. This picture here is an abstract, right? What part of the assignment does it fit? Reflections, right? So we see that it's all about the line, form, shape, tone, pattern. It has nothing to do with what the subject is, so it's an abstract. So the first thing we want to do is we go to the up top where it says filter. And in here, there are a bunch of them with some drop-down menus if you hover over them, and they don't tell you, you can't see what they do. So it's very difficult to understand and know what happens. But the best thing you want to do is go to Filter Gallery. Okay? Filter Gallery now brings up menus here. I'm going to make my image smaller. I can make it any size, so usually I want to make it at least see a part of it on the screen. And I can use Control plus or Control minus to make that happen. And so over here, you see these other menus that look very similar to the same ones that were on the other drop-down menu. But these have little drop-downs also, but the difference between these is they have actual thumbnails of the same picture with different filters on it. So this picture of the sailboat on the ocean is changed each time the filter's put on it. So you get a little idea of what the filter can do by looking at these little thumbnails. Okay, so that's the drop down there, and you can see they have names on them, so that helps you understand them. You can click that down, and it shows you these different ones. Click this one down, shows you those. Excuse me, this one shows you these, etc. This one shows you that one, and then the textures here. Okay, so you can click on any of those and come in, and it'll immediately, well, not immediately, it takes a few seconds for it to apply to the image. So if I'm going to click on one, let's click on fresco. Okay, so you see that it started at the top and it went down to apply it to this picture. So it looks pretty cool that way, I think. Then we can make it smaller to check it, or come back up and see it bigger, or even take a section. Each time you bring up a filter, there are 3 sliders that allow you to change specific things about the picture. And each filter has different sliders because it depends on what the effect the filter does. In this case, you can see that you can change your brush size, your brush detail, and your texture. If you don't understand what some of these things are, what you do is you play with the sliders. You just move them. So if I move the texture all the way to one end, I can see what it will do. Okay? And it takes a few seconds to apply it to the picture, so you always want to give it some time. So if I come up here, I can come up and see that brush detail, it's not making a huge change. Brush size, if I come way down, it made it not quite so contrasty. If I come up and make the brush size all the way to the end, it makes it kind of a little bit more dramatic. So I can decide where I like it, somewhere in the middle. But every single filter that you choose has different sliders. This happens to have these 3. So let's come over and do cutout. Okay, so cutout looks like this. And I say, I don't know about that. So it has now this one has 3 completely different sliders. Number of levels, edge simplicity, and edge fidelity. So I can move those and change it, and I can see, I like that or I don't like it. And I play. The thing about the filters is you have to play. So look at this. That totally changed it until making it look like cardboard cutouts instead of like the picture itself. So I like it or I don't like it, depending on what I feel. And each time I move this, it changes it. So I can check on the levels, and I can check a whole bunch of levels up here and make it look completely different. You see the littlest change can make it look completely different. Now the cool thing is that when you click out of that and you go to the next one, it doesn't keep that same filter. It allows you to check out a whole nother filter and what it looks like. So yeah, those are okay. I kind of like them. Let's try dark strokes and see what happens with that one. Yeah, that looks so similar to the other one. I don't know if that one's so great. Let's try sprayed strokes. If it does something like this where it makes almost no effect, don't use it. Because why bother filtering if it's not going to make any effect on it, right? What you want to do is see an effect. So this one doesn't show it. This one doesn't show it hardly at all. Even if we come up and do these kinds of things, that might do it a little bit more. And so this one could have an effect, and this is edge width, edge brightness, and smoothness. You can see the difference in all of these little movements. And that's just okay. Come down to distort, and maybe I want to make it look like it's shot through glass. I don't think this subject looks good this way. It just looks like it's blurred. I don't think it really helps it. But you see now we have distortion, smoothness, and scaling. And if I don't know what they are, I just move them to try it, okay? To play and see what it does. See the effects that you get when you do it. I don't really think that's so great. The sketch ones are mostly going to make your image black and white and change the look of it entirely. So like the bas-relief will make it look like it's, I have no idea why it made it color. I don't know why it's doing the color thing here. Let's see, maybe because of this. Let's switch this here. I'm going to close this out and go back to the default here and make sure we don't have that color on there. So go back to Filter Gallery, and let's go back to Sketch. Put that down, and we're at bas-relief. So it makes the thing look like it's three-dimensional, kind of. Then in chalk and charcoal, that looks kind of neat. I think this kind of looks neat in black and white. That charcoal may be just okay, and you can see each one comes up with a completely different set of sliders. This one does nothing for it to make it look like it's metallic. This is a Conte crayon, graphic pen. That's kind of cool. Halftone, it doesn't do much. Note paper, not much. Photocopy, takes away the integrity of the original. Now that looks really cool, the plaster one, don't you think? So I like that one. So I can change the image balance or the smoothness on this one. And so I can see where I want it to go. I think this one looks kind of cool. So if I want to save that, I just say OK. Now you notice that it made the image all of that filtered thing. So what you want to do when you filter something is you want to create a background layer copy. So let's back out of this and duplicate that layer. I can right click and duplicate it, or I can go Control J and duplicate it and now filter on this layer. So when I come back in, it always remembers the last filter you used, which is kind of nice. Okay? So it remembers that this is the last one we used. So if I say OK to that, now that's on a separate layer. So I can turn that on or off, and I have much more leeway with that picture. So I can turn it on and off and check it. I think that looks really cool. The other thing you can do when you've filtered something is you still can adjust all of the image adjustments that you use on a picture normally. So you can come in and go Image Adjustments, and I can come to Brightness and Contrast, and make it brighter or darker, change the contrast to be less or more. On here I can do Image Adjustments and go to Color Balance. There's no color in it, but I can add color because we had that normally here, and we can play with that and make some fun stuff with that. So we can do a whole bunch of different things to the picture after it's been filtered even. Okay? And then you save it, and because you have it on a different layer, you can always get out of it and get back to your original and see the integrity of your original, which is kind of nice. So super fun to do that. So let's go to another one and open this one. Now this picture is an abstract, right? We just have the pattern in nature. We have really cool shapes and colors in there. So we go to Filter and go to Filter Gallery. And if we come here and do these, it pretty much looks awful on most of these, right? Or doesn't change much. So this isn't a good filter for this one, I don't think. I think we want to keep the colors in that. So let's try some of these. Maybe colored pencil. So I'll click on colored pencil. Whoa, that's starting to look really cool, right? Now colored pencil has three different sliders: pencil width, stroke pressure, and paper brightness. So I can change that. So let's say I make the paper darker. And the bottom has a slider to show you progress. So that looks okay, but I really liked it brighter. So I'm going to move that back up a bit, I think. And you'll see the progress bar down here. I think that I still want it a little bit brighter. Yeah, I like it with the lighter background. I think that looks really cool with it, the airiness of it. And the stroke pressure, I can make it have more pressure and darker, or I can make it have less. And if you're not sure what these things mean, you just play with it and see. So I can make the pencil really light by the width, make it really barely there, which looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Or maybe move it up just a little. I really like how this looks with this one, so I'm going to save that one. So I'm just going to say OK, and here again I didn't do a background layer, so I want to control, let's back out of that, and I'm going to duplicate that layer and go back to Filter, Gallery, and it'll save my last setting. It'll go immediately to my last setting, which is kind of neat and helpful. So there it is, with that on or off. What a difference that makes, except that it looks a little flat now. So I can come into Image Adjustments, and I can play with some of the some stuff in here, and I can make this like have a little more contrast, a little more vividness. Maybe come down just a hair, because there's the before and there's the after, and say OK. So the difference between that and that is very different. This almost looks like a Japanese painting now, right? Really beautiful. And so you can totally change the image but still keep the integrity of the original. And in this case, I think it really looks gorgeous when we do that. Super fun. Okay? Now, the next one that everybody's going to want to do, I'm going to ask you to do sparingly. Oh, two things. I also don't want you to use this filter. The filter is called Plastic Wrap. Okay? So it makes everything look like it's wrapped in plastic. And to me, it's just annoying. I don't think it's that great, especially on an abstract assignment. So try not to use the plastic wrap one. Okay? So we have this picture of palm tree, and even though we know they're palm trees, it's still abstract. All we really care about is the cool shape of the palm trees, the cool pattern of the clouds behind it, so it's an abstract. So I'm going to go and show you something under Filter Gallery. Down below here is something that's called Liquify. Liquify is super fun, but people tend to overuse it. So I'm going to click on that, and you see that my cursor turns into a brush. I can make the brush bigger or smaller by using my bracket keys like always. So I'm going to make it kind of in between. And what it does is it actually pulls the emulsion on the picture. So it actually takes things in here and stretches it out. So I'm going to stretch this all out here. Okay? So depending on what size this is, I can make it really small and just do small little areas, or I can make it really, really big and do big, giant areas. Okay? So I wanted to do something in between, so I'm going to use the kind of medium brush so I still keep some of the integrity of the original here. So I can come in and stretch out some of this, stretch out some of go in and stretch out some of the clouds back here by moving this all around. If you get too close to the edge and you actually peel, it's peeling the emulsion away from the side of the picture, and you don't want to do that. Remember, those checkerboard means it's empty pixels. We don't want that. Okay? So every time we come in, we're doing this. Tristan, wake up. Okay? So we come in and we can do this. And we can make this really large and come in and make like wholesale like adjustments, which looks kind of cool when we do that, right? So we can, but we want, this is still keeping the integrity of what we had initially and sort of play with it. Okay? And you can do that by using the Liquify filter. And sometimes when you're doing a lot, it takes a lot of memory to use it, so know that it may take some time when you're doing it to come out. So maybe I can do some little ones off the big ones now that I have the little brush selected. I can kind of play with it and make a kind of a cool effect, right? So again, you would want to have done that on a background, a different layer, so that you could get away from it and have your original back. So those are some fun filters in Photoshop. What I'm looking for is it to look filtered, but not like totally take away the integrity of the original. You want to see that it's filtered. You want to see that the filter enhances the original, not takes away from it, or it has no reason to be there. You want it to look good with the filter, that you picked it for a reason to enhance it. And I think the picture of the this one really enhanced it. Okay, really made it different and made it dramatic and very interesting.